In a world that constantly demands your attention, floods your senses, and keeps you moving at breakneck speed, where do you truly find a moment of peace? How do you cultivate genuine stillness within yourself? And when the external noise feels overwhelming, how do you discover that elusive calmness within your own mind?
It's a profound question, isn't it?
Mm.
What if that peace isn't merely a fleeting luxury, something you occasionally stumble upon or chase after in rare, quiet moments? What if it's a fundamental human capacity, something inherent within you that can be actively cultivated and strengthened, much like building a muscle at the gym?
Like building a muscle, I like.
Yeah, we're not suggesting you escape the world entirely, retreat to a mountaintop and stay there forever. Not practical for most of us. Instead, we're talking about mastering your internal landscape, building an inner sanctuary so you can not just survive, but truly thrive within the world, regardless of how chaotic or demanding it gets.
Right, thriving within it, not escaping it.
Just exactly. Today, we're taking a deep dive into precisely how that's not only possible, but profoundly beneficial for your health, your psychology, your relationships, and even, your ability to succeed in whatever you set your mind to.
That's a powerful idea, mastering your internal landscape. And what's fascinating is that this isn't just theory or some aspirational concept. We've brought together a rich collection of insights from cutting-edge research, real-world interventions, and some surprising facts that reveal concrete ways to cultivate that inner stillness and calmness, effectively transforming your entire experience of life. So, okay, let's unpack this. The modern challenge. Why inner peace is essential now. It's undeniable, isn't it? We live in a world that's simply loud. And I'm not just talking about the honking cars outside your window or the music blaring from a neighbor's apartment, though those certainly contribute.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do.
It's the constant ping of notifications from your phone, the endless scroll of information from your devices, the relentless pressure to always be on and responsive. It just never seems to stop. And then there's the internal noise, the ceaseless chatter of our own thoughts, right? The replay of worries from yesterday, the anxieties about tomorrow, the never-ending to-do list playing on loop in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
This constant bombardment, the ceaseless input from every direction, it creates a palpable sense of stress and overwhelm. It makes it incredibly difficult to focus on one thing, let alone truly relax. It feels like a universal modern experience, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And from a neurological perspective, this constant stimulation is like living in a perpetual state of high alert. Our brains are incredibly efficient at detecting threats and responding to novel stimuli. It's a survival mechanism honed over millennia, right?
Yeah.
But in the modern environment, there's always a new threat, a new email demanding attention, a breaking news alert flashing, another social media update popping up, or just a new piece of information vying for our attention. This keeps our sympathetic nervous system engaged, which is our fight or flight response.
Always on edge.
Exactly. Always on edge. And that makes it incredibly challenging for our prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain responsible for higher level cognitive functions like planning, decision-making, and crucially emotional regulation to do its job effectively.
So it gets overloaded.
Pretty much. When our brains are constantly anticipating the next input, the next ping, they struggle to consolidate memories properly, process emotions effectively, or engage in deep, sustained thought. This isn't just uncomfortable, it genuinely hinders our cognitive functions and our capacity for emotional regulation, making inner peace feel like, an impossible dream sometimes. So the key insight here is that modern life isn't just stressful in a general sense. It's actively rewiring our brains for constant alert, making deep thought and calm incredibly difficult. It's not just a feeling, it's a neurological reality we have to confront.
That's a really crucial distinction. It's not just feeling stress, but our brain's actually changing in response.
Wow.
And it's not just about personal well-being, though that's clearly paramount. This ties directly into something we hear a lot about, resilience. We talk about resilience as an individual's capacity to bounce back from setbacks, right? To overcome adversities and to successfully adapt to their environment. Think of it as the emotional and mental muscle that allows you to maintain inner peace amidst the chaos, not just in your personal life, but crucially in the professional world as well. So it's a foundation for navigating modern life.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the rapidly changing nature of work and life today makes this kind of resilience not just desirable, but absolutely essential. It's a foundational skill for navigating the modern landscape. You really can't thrive without it. We've seen tangible consequences of lacking these soft skills or socio-emotional competencies in the workforce. For instance, as far back as 2012, nearly 20% of employers openly stated that a lack of soft skills was a key reason they couldn't hire the employees they needed.
20%, that's
It
huge.
is huge. Think about that for a moment. It wasn't primarily a lack of technical knowledge or specific degrees, but a lack of these fundamental human capacities like
Mm.
adaptability, problem solving, emotional intelligence, the ability to work well with others.
Wow, 1 in 5 employers citing that as a barrier. That's a significant indicator of a wider problem. Are there any industries or perhaps specific demographics where this soft skill gap is even more pronounced?
The data suggests it's a widespread issue, impacting various sectors. It's not confined to just one area. For example, a study spanning 8 European countries found that a third, of employers reported that a lack of skills negatively impacted their business.
How so?
Well, it led to issues with cost, quality, or timeliness. Things weren't getting done efficiently or effectively. And what's particularly striking is the stark disconnect between education and employment. A significant 74% of education providers believe their graduates were well prepared for the workforce,
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
but only 35% of employers agreed.
Oh, that's a massive gap, a huge gap in perception and reality.
Exactly. It means new entrants to the workforce might be, well, ill-equipped for the actual demands they face in a dynamic workplace.
So education thinks it's doing its job, but employers are essentially saying, we're still looking for candidates with the ability to truly thrive in dynamic environments, the adaptability, the resilience.
Exactly. And the youth themselves feel this disconnect. It's not just the employers. Only 42% of young people felt they received adequate training for work. And a disheartening 30% could only find temporary employment after graduation, signaling that they weren't fully prepared for the long-term demands of the modern job market.
That's tough.
It is. And this isn't just an economic issue. It's a profound challenge for individual well-being and societal stability. Building emotional resilience is fundamentally a mental health issue. This became even more clear during and after the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Where uncertainty and stress became the norm for everyone.
Absolutely.
It absolutely requires coordinated focus from various ministries, health, labor, and education to ensure young people, and frankly all people, are equipped to handle the rapid changes and pressures of modern life. It's about building foundational internal capacity, not just acquiring technical skills. That internal stuff is key.
It's clear then, these aren't just nice-to-have traits, like a bonus skill. They're fundamental for navigating life and work, the very bedrock upon which we build stability and productivity. So if we accept that inner peace and resilience are crucial, how do we actually build them? What are the core components, the foundational pillars that we need to strengthen within ourselves? 2, foundations of inner calm, pillars of emotional resilience.
That's the critical question, isn't it? If we view inner peace, stillness, and calmness as capacities to be cultivated, then emotional resilience provides the actionable pathways. Our research points to 8 key characteristics that act as pillars for building this inner strength, each one contributing to your ability to remain grounded amidst life's storms. 1. Purpose meaning life direction.
Let's start with purpose. When people hear purpose, they often think of some grand, singular mission, like finding their one true calling. But for a listener just trying to get through a busy week, navigating endless demands, how do they even begin to find that why amidst the daily grind? Is it always about something huge, or can purpose be found in smaller ways too?
That's a fantastic question, and it speaks to a common misconception. Purpose isn't always about a grand, monolithic life mission. While those are powerful, of course, purpose can also be found in the smaller daily intentions that anchor us. This characteristic involves developing longer-term goals, yes, but also identifying your personal why for what you do day to day and fostering a genuine sense of possibility to pursue your path based on your unique skills, talents, and aspirations.
So it boosts your belief in yourself.
Exactly. It significantly enhances what we call self-efficacy, which is your belief in your own ability to succeed in this context, the belief that I can be resilient. When you have a strong sense of purpose, even the smallest tasks feel more meaningful. You're tethered to something larger than the immediate noise or challenge. For instance, a challenging work project isn't just a task. It's a step towards building a skill you value. Or a difficult conversation isn't just conflict. It's an opportunity to strengthen a relationship that matters to you.
I see. It reframes the small stuff.
It really does. It helps align your daily actions to your ideal self, encouraging you to be a creator, not a consumer. This means actively shaping your life choices rather than passively consuming what's presented to you or just, following the herd mentality.
Taking charge.
Taking charge, choosing your direction. So if you're feeling lost, don't feel pressured to hunt for a single giant purpose right away. Start by asking, what small thing can I do today that aligns with what I value? What small goal can I set that moves me in a direction that feels authentic to me? Even the commitment to a daily walk, if it aligns with your value of physical well-being, is a form of purpose. The key insight here is that purpose, even in microdoses, provides a powerful internal compass, reducing the feeling of being adrift in a sea of external demands. 2. Emotional mastery, self-awareness and self-management.
Okay, so if purpose gives us our why, the next crucial piece is understanding and navigating our internal world itself, our emotions. And this breaks down into two vital parts: self-awareness and self-management. We often hear that, quote, "Know yourself and you will win all battles," from Sun Tzu. That isn't just ancient wisdom, right? It's a cornerstone of modern psychological health. What does that truly entail in practice, this self-awareness?
Well, self-awareness, at its core, is the deep understanding of one's own emotions, thoughts, behavioral patterns, underlying beliefs, self-image aspirations, strengths, and weaknesses. It's really knowing yourself. In the context of resilience, it's not just about identifying what you feel, I feel anxious, but more importantly, why you feel it and what it signifies. What's underneath that feeling?
Digging deeper.
Exactly. For instance, if you experience discouragement after a setback, self-awareness allows you to acknowledge and accept that feeling as a natural part of recovery, rather than resorting to destructive coping mechanisms to push it away, like maybe drinking too much or zoning out for hours. You might ask, am I feeling discouraged because I failed, or because I put too much pressure on myself, or maybe because I didn't prepare enough? This understanding then guides what might need to change or what needs to be accepted.
That makes sense.
What's astonishing is the data on this. Studies from Harvard University reveal that 83% of highly self-aware people are top performers in their fields.
83%.
Yes. Yet, only a tiny fraction, a mere 10–15% of us, are truly self-aware.
Wow. That's a huge gap.
It is. The takeaway is stark. Self-awareness isn't just a nice-to-have for personal growth. It's a superpower for performance, a truly competitive edge that most of us are barely tapping into.
That's a powerful statistic. So if self-awareness is knowing yourself, self-management sounds like it's about acting on that knowledge. Another powerful quote comes to mind from Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. What does that mean for cultivating calmness in the face of all the daily chaos?
Ah, Frankl. Yes, this is truly where the transformation begins. Self-management is the practical application of self-awareness. It's the shift from compulsion, from just reacting, to conscious choice. It's what you do with the information you gain about yourself. It's the ability to keep disruptive emotions and impulses in check, allowing you to maintain effectiveness even under high stress or in, say, hostile conditions.
You're keeping your cool.
Yes, exactly. Keeping your cool. But more than that, making a conscious choice. This capacity is key to how quickly and effectively you recover from setbacks and how well you manage your long-term behavioral tendencies. For instance, if you're stuck in unexpected gridlock on your commute, or a challenging email lands in your inbox that makes your blood boil, self-awareness might tell you your jaw is clenched and your heart is racing. Self-management is then about choosing your response, taking a deep breath, perhaps acknowledging the frustration, okay, this is really annoying, and then consciously deciding not to react impulsively or catastrophize. This email will ruin everything.
Finding that space Frankl talked about.
Precisely. Finding and using that space. Practically, this can involve cultivating mental sanctuaries, specific activities you use to process thoughts calmly, like walking in nature, journaling, or even just stepping away for 5 minutes to a quiet spot. It means accepting emotions as valid parts of your experience and recovery, rather than fighting them or judging yourself for feeling them. It's about responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. It involves facing fears head-on with small, manageable steps, tolerating discomfort, which is huge, and actively avoiding mental traps like catastrophizing, where you imagine the absolute worst-case scenario.
Right, that downward spiral.
Yeah, that spiral.
Oh.
These are all deliberate choices that over time build significant inner calm and prevent the external world from dictating your internal state. Take back control. 3. Positive outlook optimism.
Reginald B. Mansell once said, "A pessimist is one who makes difficulties of his opportunities. An optimist is one who makes opportunities of difficulties." How do we actually shift our lens to cultivate a more positive outlook, especially when things are genuinely tough and it feels like the world is against you? Is it about ignoring reality?
Not at all. That's a common misunderstanding. Optimism, in the context of resilience, isn't about ignoring reality or adopting what some call toxic positivity. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's the ability to look at the brighter side with hope, even in the face of significant adversity. And crucially, it's about how you explain adverse events to yourself. That's the key.
How you explain them.
Yes. People typically use three internal lenses when bad things happen: personalization, permanence, and pervasiveness. Let's take a common setback, like a project failing at work. A pessimist might explain it by saying, "It's totally my fault." Personalization, taking all the blame. "This situation is never going to change. I'll never succeed." Permanence, seeing it as lasting forever. And "It's all bad. This failure applies to every area of my life, not just work." Pervasiveness, letting it bleed into everything.
Okay, I can see how that would feel heavy.
Very heavy. An optimist, in contrast, would see that same adverse event differently. They might recognize that many factors contributed to the project's outcome beyond just themselves. Shared responsibility, not just personalization. They'd view the situation as temporary and a learning opportunity. "This didn't work this time, but I can try again," not permanent. And they'd recognize that it only applies to specific areas of their life. Not everything. "This project failed, but my relationships are strong, and I'm a good parent," not pervasive.
So it contains the negativity.
Exactly. It contains it. Longitudinal studies consistently show that positive emotions encourage novel, varied, and exploratory thoughts and actions. Higher optimism is directly associated with better physiological adjustment to stressful situations. Your body actually handles stress better. Moreover, people who are optimistic about their careers are more likely to succeed at work and feel satisfied with their jobs, simply because this mindset helps them overcome setbacks and continue working hard. A key strategy here is to consciously focus on what you can control, rather than dwelling on what you cannot. It's a deliberate choice to reframe your explanation. 4. Cognitive reasoning.
That leads nicely into cognitive reasoning, the power of perspective. It's not just about what happens to us, but how we interpret and assign meaning to it. How can we train our minds to make sense of difficult situations in a way that helps us cultivate inner peace, rather than allowing us to get stuck in negativity?
Cognitive reasoning is fundamentally the ability to interpret a situation and assign meaning to it, particularly in challenging times. It's about adopting an attitude of learning, really, fostering the understanding that life provides opportunities through challenges, not just in their absence. Instead of being crushed by adversity, you ask, "What can I learn from this? Is life trying to redirect me here? Is there a hidden opportunity?"
Shifting the focus from problem to potential.
Exactly. Think of common reframing examples we use instinctively, sometimes without realizing it. When one door shuts down, another one opens, not just a cliche, but a cognitive reframe. Or, "It could have been worse," which puts things into perspective. Or, "Goals take time," reminding us of patience, and setbacks happen, that's normal. Normalizing difficulty instead of seeing it as a personal failure. And crucially, there is room for my improvement, shifting from blame to a growth mindset. This skill also encompasses the ability for innovative problem solving, anticipating future challenges, planning effectively, and being resourceful in finding solutions. It's about seeing the challenge as a puzzle to solve rather than an insurmountable wall. For instance, if a new technology disrupts your industry, cognitive reasoning isn't just lamenting the change. It's about asking, okay, how can I adapt my skills? What new opportunities does this disruption create? It's a proactive mental stance that empowers you to respond effectively to change and foster a sense of control over your narrative, your story. Albert Einstein famously said, "It is not that I am so smart, it is just that I stay with problems longer." That perfectly encapsulates grit, the ability to stick with something. But what is the fine line between true persistence and simply being stubborn to your own detriment? When do you know to push through versus when it's actually smarter to let go?
That's a truly insightful question, and it highlights a critical nuance. Grit or tenacity is indeed about continued effort in the face of challenges. It's hugely important. Martin Seligman's famous 1975 learned helplessness experiment beautifully illustrates why this is so critical. Remember that one?
Yaggly, remind me.
Sure. In that study, subjects were divided into 3 groups exposed to annoying loud noises. One group could turn the noise off with a lever. Another heard the same noise, but their lever did nothing. They had no control, and a control group heard nothing. Later, when all groups faced a new situation where they could easily turn off a noise, the group that had previously experienced uncontrollable failure typically did nothing. They just sat there.
They gave up before even trying.
Exactly. They had learned helplessness expecting more failure. They didn't even try. This powerfully demonstrates that failure without a sense of control can lead to passivity, and true resilience demands continued effort. It's about building the belief that your efforts can make a difference.
Okay, so persistence matters. But the stubbornness question.
Right, you've hit on a crucial point. The difference between authentic grit and what Caroline Miller at UPenn calls stupid grit.
Stupid grit. Okay, tell me more.
Stupid grit is when you drive forward to your own detriment, becoming rigidly fixated on an idea or practice, even when circumstances clearly demand a pivot or a new strategy. She uses the analogy of summit fever in mountaineering and obsession to reach the top that blinds people to changing weather or their own exhaustion, leading to dangerous, sometimes fatal outcomes.
Right, pushing on when you absolutely shouldn't.
Exactly. Authentic grit, on the other hand, is the passionate pursuit of challenging goals that leads to emotional flourishing. It encourages positive, calculated risks, allows you to live without regret because you gave it your best shot, and often inspires others. It's about applying effort wisely with an awareness of the bigger picture and your own well-being.
So how do we cultivate the authentic kind, not the stupid kind?
Miller outlines 5 powerful ways. 1, find your true passion. Connect your effort to something you genuinely care about. Persistence feels less like a chore then. 2, ask why not and take calculated risks. Don't automatically assume something's impossible. Explore what it would really take. 3, set clear goals and, crucially, follow through. Break big goals down. Consistent follow-through builds momentum and self-belief. 4, actively change negative self-talk. Replace "I can't" with "this is tough, but I can learn." Your inner voice matters. And 5, build a gritty support team. Surround yourself with people who encourage you but also offer honest feedback, helping you see when persistence might be turning into stubbornness.
Having people who can call you out gently.
Exactly. This blend of determined effort and self-awareness is what allows you to differentiate when to push through and when adaptation is the wiser path. 6, adaptability, openness to change.
So if grit is about sticking with it, then adaptability must be about knowing when to pivot. In a world that is changing faster than ever, is it always about pushing through, or is there a wisdom in changing direction, knowing when to gracefully let go and shift course?
It's absolutely about knowing when to pivot, and it's a critical counterpoint to grit. They work together, ideally. Adaptability is about flexibility in handling change, juggling multiple demands, and approaching new situations with fresh thinking and innovative approaches. When faced with challenges, an adaptable person doesn't ruminate over problems, getting stuck in what went wrong. Instead, they shift relatively quickly to searching for solutions and alternative ways forward.
Focusing on what's next.
Yes, exactly. What's next? Or how can I make this work differently? This skill is absolutely crucial in our constantly changing world. Consider an unexpected job loss. Adaptability means not just mourning the loss, which is natural, but swiftly exploring new opportunities, perhaps even new career paths that hadn't been considered before. There were follow-up surveys of MBA students 5 to 19 years post-graduation. They found that adaptability was a strong predictor of their life satisfaction, and overall career success.
More so than just intelligence.
It seemed to be a critical factor alongside intelligence, yes. It wasn't just raw brain power, but the ability to adjust, to roll with the punches. The dilemma between grit and adaptability really lies in knowing when to switch objectives versus being persistently rigid. It's a judgment call. Often, the fear of change is simply the fear of loss of control, loss of predictability, loss of a comfortable identity, and this stems from underlying insecurities. To adapt effectively means being able to move on from failures, integrate the lessons learned, and reorient rather than being stuck in what was. It's a dynamic balance, recognizing that sometimes the smartest move isn't to power through, but to gracefully shift.
Like dancing with change rather than fighting it.
That's a great way to put it, dancing with change. 7, social connection.
We often think of inner peace as a deeply internal journey, something we cultivate alone, perhaps through meditation or quiet reflection. But how do others, our social connections, play a role in finding that stillness and building resilience? It almost seems counterintuitive at first glance.
It's a profound role, actually, and neuroscience confirms our inbuilt need for social connection through phenomena like mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons.
Yeah, those fascinating brain cells that help us understand and empathize by literally mirroring what we see others do and feel. This biological wiring underscores our innate capacity for empathy and understanding others. We're wired for connection, and consistently, research shows positive social relationships are linked to greater psychological and physical well-being. Sharing our burdens and experiences with others genuinely helps release stress and pressure, almost like a pressure valve.
So talking helps.
Talking helps, listening helps, feeling understood helps. It's a two-way street. Young people and adults alike need to both offer and receive social support to truly boost their resilience. Richard Davidson, a leading neuroscientist in this field, includes connection as a fundamental emotion underpinning successful relationships in his well-being and resilience framework. It's foundational.
So practically, what does that look like?
Practically, this means actively initiating connections with positive people, those who uplift you and inspire growth. Make an effort to maintain old relationships that nourish you. Be open to sharing your interests, asking others for advice which builds connection, and equally important, offering feedback and support to others. And, crucially, it also means making the difficult but necessary choice to eliminate or minimize contact with toxic, draining, or one-sided relationships that undermine your well-being.
Setting boundaries.
Absolutely. Setting boundaries is key. Those draining relationships can actively steal your peace, and recognizing that is a powerful act of self-preservation and ultimately peace cultivation. 8. Physical renewal.
Finally, we get to what many might consider the basics of self-care. We hear about them all the time. Exercise, healthy eating, sleep. Do these things really link to deep inner calm? Or are they just common sense advice that everyone knows but maybe doesn't prioritize enough?
They are absolutely foundational, not just common sense, but fundamental for emotional resilience and inner calm. Neglecting physical well-being is like trying to build a skyscraper on a shaky foundation. It simply won't stand strong when the winds blow. When we discuss physical renewal, we're talking about prioritizing enjoyable exercise in your life, something you look forward to, not just a chore you have to tick off.
Finding something you like.
Yes. This could be a vigorous workout, a peaceful walk, dancing, swimming, whatever works for you. The key is consistency and enjoyment. It means eating healthy food in moderation, consistently getting enough good sleep, which is so often overlooked, but absolutely crucial for brain function and emotional regulation. Sleep debt makes everything harder.
Definitely feel that.
Right. And actively avoiding burnout. Burnout, counterintuitively, works against your goals by depleting your mental and emotional reserves, making you less productive and much more prone to stress. And it means consciously avoiding negative outlets like excessive alcohol or other substances to numb pain. These only provide temporary relief while actively undermining your long-term capacity for emotional stability and inner peace.
The quick fixes that back up.
Exactly. These physical habits directly impact our neurochemistry, hormone balance, and overall energy levels, all of which are inextricably linked to our capacity for emotional stability and cultivating that inner calm we're seeking. They are the non-negotiable building blocks. You can't really build the mental resilience without the physical foundation. 3. The power of stillness. Unpacking mindfulness and silence.
Okay, so we've talked about the building blocks of resilience, those 8 powerful pillars that help us navigate life's challenges and build internal strength. They're all interconnected. Now let's zoom in on 2 powerful practices that directly cultivate that stillness and calmness within, the practices that actively quiet the noise. Mindfulness and silence. They're often intertwined, aren't they? For very good reason.
Restoring wholeness to the dispersed mind.
Yes, they are very closely related. Mindfulness at its essence has been beautifully described by the renowned Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh as the miracle by which we master and restore ourselves. I use this wonderful analogy. Imagine a magician who, through some profound magic, scatters their body into many pieces, and then with a powerful focused cry reassembles every single part, returning to wholeness. Mindfulness is like that. For our minds, it can call back in a flash our dispersed mind and restore it to wholeness so that we can live each minute of life.
It's about bringing our awareness fully to the present moment, observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment, rather than letting our minds wander endlessly or get caught in worries about the past or future. Just being here, now. The benefits of trait, mindfulness.
It's not just a buzzword we hear everywhere. The research on mindfulness is truly compelling, showing real, measurable effects. What are the tangible psychological benefits that studies have consistently shown when someone develops a deeper level of mindfulness? This trait mindfulness you mentioned.
The list is extensive and really quite remarkable. When individuals develop a higher level of trait mindfulness, meaning it becomes a more enduring characteristic of who they are, not just something they do occasionally when they remember. They consistently report higher levels of life satisfaction, a greater sense of well-being, increased agreeableness in their interactions, and more conscientiousness in their daily tasks.
So better mood, better relationships, more reliable. Exactly. They experience greater vitality, higher self-esteem, more empathy towards others, a stronger sense of autonomy or self-direction, increased confidence in their abilities, and a more optimistic outlook on life, along with a more frequent experience of pleasant emotions. It's a whole cascade of positive effects.
Okay, and what about the negative stuff? Does it reduce anything?
Oh, absolutely. On the flip side, we see significant negative correlations with detrimental psychological states. This includes reduced depression, lower levels of neuroticism, that tendency towards anxiety, and worry, less absent-mindedness.
We could all use less of that.
Tell me about it. Decreased dissociation, which is that feeling of being disconnected from reality, and a marked reduction in rumination, that endless, unproductive loop of negative thoughts that just goes round and round.
Getting stuck in your head.
Exactly. People also report less cognitive reactivity, which is the tendency to get automatically caught up in thoughts, reduced social anxiety, fewer difficulties in emotion regulation, and a general reduction in overall psychological symptoms. From a cognitive perspective, mindfulness is associated with a lower frequency of negative automatic thoughts and, crucially, an enhanced ability to simply let go of those thoughts rather than getting tangled up in them. It also consistently improves sustained attention and persistence in tasks, which has obvious implications for daily life and work. In essence, it helps you regulate your inner world, bringing calm and clarity to your mind. The neuroscience of mindfulness.
That's incredible. So what's actually happening in our brains when we practice mindfulness? Are there observable physical changes that reflect these psychological benefits? Can we see it?
Yes, absolutely. The neurobiological changes from consistent mindfulness meditation are well documented now. It's not just subjective feeling, we can see changes. Studies have shown increased thickness in brain regions involved in attention, interoception, that's our awareness of internal bodily states, like our heartbeat or breath, and sensory processing.
So the brain is physically changing.
Yes, this includes areas like the prefrontal cortex, vital for executive functions like planning and decision-making, and the right anterior insula, a key area for integrating body awareness and emotion. We also see increased activation in the brain's control centers, the rostral anterior cingulate cortex and the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex. These help us manage distractions and emotions, allowing us to respond more thoughtfully rather than just react impulsively.
More control, less reaction.
Precisely. Furthermore, meditators often show greater gray matter concentration, more brain cells, essentially in areas found to be active during meditation itself, such as the right anterior insula again, the left inferior temporal gyrus, and the right hippocampus, an area critical for memory and learning. These brain changes also reflect positive emotional states. For example, increases in left frontal activation are often associated with positive affect, good moods, and greater emotional balance. Conversely, there's reduced activation in brain regions involved in excessive conceptual processing and reappraisal, suggesting a shift away from overthinking and getting caught in those mental loops.
Quieting the overthinking mind.
Exactly. These findings demonstrate how systematic mindfulness training induces observable and measurable shifts in attention, awareness, and emotion, fundamentally reshaping how our brain functions, moving it towards a state of greater calm, clarity, and control. Mindfulness-oriented interventions, MOIs.
That's truly fascinating to see the actual brain changes.
Yeah.
So how is this profound practice taught and applied in the real world? Are there specific structured programs that utilize these principles to help people cultivate this inner peace?
There are indeed several major forms of mindfulness-oriented interventions, or MOIs, that have gained significant traction and empirical support worldwide. These are structured ways to learn and practice. The most well-known include 1. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR. Often an 8-week program, it teaches various mindfulness practices like meditation, body scan, gentle yoga, specifically to help manage stress and chronic pain.
Okay, MBSR, I've heard of that.
Very common, very effective. 2. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT. This combines mindfulness with cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. It's particularly helpful for preventing depressive relapse by changing one's relationship with negative thoughts, learning to see them as just thoughts. 3. Dialectical behavior therapy, DBT. This is a more comprehensive therapy that incorporates mindfulness alongside skills for emotion regulation, distress tolerance, and interpersonal effectiveness. It's also used for individuals with more severe emotion dysregulation issues. And 4. Acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. ACT focuses on accepting difficult thoughts and feelings, not fighting them, committing to actions aligned with your personal values, and developing overall psychological flexibility.
So different approaches for different needs.
Exactly. What's consistently found across these interventions is that participation leads to increases in self-reported trait mindfulness. People actually become more mindful as a general way of being. And this increase, in turn, predicts a wide range of significant improvements. Increases in spirituality, self-compassion, positive states of mind, alongside meaningful decreases in rumination, trait anxiety, the risk of depressive relapse, perceived stress, and overall psychological distress. Importantly, research has shown that the increases in trait mindfulness statistically mediate these effects, meaning the cultivation of mindfulness itself is a key reason why these interventions lead to better outcomes, like lower stress, improved quality of life, and fewer depressive symptoms.
So mindfulness is the active ingredient, so to speak.
It's a core active ingredient, yes. Nuance and specificity.
Given all these incredible benefits, it sounds like mindfulness could be a cure-all for any problem. Is that truly the case, or are there nuances we should be aware of? Should everyone just jump into an MBSR course?
That's an important question to ask, and the answer is nuanced. While mindfulness is a powerful tool, it's not a generic solution for every single psychological condition, nor is its effectiveness uniform across all individuals. One size doesn't fit all here. Its impact can vary based on individual differences, such as a person's attachment style or their baseline level of trait mindfulness before they even start. For example, some research suggests that individuals with an insecure attachment style might actually experience even greater reductions in perceived stress from MBSR than those with a secure attachment, possibly because they have more room for improvement in managing emotional reactivity. Also, specific conditions may benefit from tailoring the mindfulness approach. For instance, in treating ADHD, a greater focus might be placed on the attentional aspects of mindfulness training exercises, specifically designed to hone concentration and reduce impulsivity. For disorders involving significant shame and guilt, like perhaps certain eating disorders, the emphasis might shift more towards acceptance and self-compassion practices within mindfulness, helping individuals develop a kinder, less judgmental relationship with themselves and their bodies.
So tailoring it makes it more effective.
Absolutely. This tailored approach ensures maximum effectiveness and clinical utility, emphasizing that mindfulness is a skill to be applied thoughtfully, considering the individual's specific needs and context, not a one-size-fits-all panacea. It's about using the right tool for the right job.
The underrated sanctuary for the mind.
Building on mindfulness, let's now turn to the profound impact of silence. Defining it quite simply as the absence of sound, but more expansively, as a state of calm and stillness that offers a much-needed respite from the overwhelming noise of modern life. It's not just the absence of external sound like traffic or chatter, but the potential for the quieting of internal noise too, allowing for a deeper form of peace to emerge. Holistic benefits of silence.
Beyond just peace and quiet, which sounds lovely on its own, what are the truly tangible benefits of silence for our mental and physical health? How does simply being in quiet translate into concrete improvements?
The benefits are quite extensive and reach across various aspects of our well-being. Firstly, silence can significantly reduce stress and anxiety. It provides a truly quiet environment where our nervous system can finally downshift, relax, and de-stress without external demands constantly triggering our attention.
A break for the nervous system.
A much-needed break. Secondly, it drastically improves focus and concentration. By reducing distractions, our minds can fully engage with the present moment and whatever task is at hand, leading to deeper work and thought. What's fascinating is its link to creativity. Research has shown that periods of silence can actually enhance creative problem-solving abilities. It allows for clearer thinking and the generation of new, innovative ideas. Our minds can wander constructively when not bombarded.
Interesting. So quiet helps new ideas surface.
It seems to. Silence also directly contributes to improved sleep by creating a quiet, conducive environment that makes it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep, absolutely crucial for physical and mental restoration. Furthermore, it fosters enhanced self-awareness. In the quiet, we can more easily observe our thoughts and feelings without external interference or judgment, helping us to truly hear our own internal voice, our own intuition. And finally, silence can even improve our relationships. Not by avoiding interaction, obviously, but by fostering more effective listening and clearer communication when we do engage. Because our minds are less cluttered and more present, we can actually hear the other person better.
Makes sense. We listen better when we're not internally noisy.
Precisely. It helps us tune into others, just as it helps us tune into ourselves. The neuroscience of silence.
That's incredibly powerful. It sounds like silence is almost an active ingredient for mental well-being rather than just an absence of something noisy. So, what's the science behind silence's remarkable power on our brains? What's happening under the hood, so to speak, when we simply stop listening to external sound?
From a neurological perspective, silence is far from passive. It's not just emptiness. It actively triggers activation and sometimes deactivation in crucial brain areas. This includes the prefrontal cortex, involved in executive functions and complex decision-making. It also involves the hippocampus, critical for memory consolidation and learning, and the amygdala, which processes emotions like fear and anxiety.
So, it affects thinking, memory, and emotion centers.
Yes. Psychologically, this translates directly into a reduction of stress and anxiety, an enhancement of concentration and creativity, and a significant contribution to heightened self-awareness and personal development. What's truly compelling is silence's influence on the limbic system, our brain's emotional core. It has been shown to decrease amygdala activity.
The fear center.
Exactly, the fear and anxiety center. So it mitigates those intense fear and anxiety responses that keep us on edge. Simultaneously, it appears to increase hippocampal activity, positively impacting memory formation and learning processes, making our brains potentially more efficient. And perhaps most excitingly, silence contributes to neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to adapt and change throughout life. Research suggests that silence can promote neurogenesis.
Growing new brain cells.
Yes, the growth of new neurons, particularly in the hippocampus. It might also strengthen existing neural connections and enhance synaptic function. All of this contributes to a more agile, adaptable, and ultimately healthier brain. So silence isn't just quiet. It's a profound stimulus for brain health and cognitive flourishing, actively shaping your capacity for inner calm and clear thought. Practical applications for cultivating stillness.
This sounds transformative, the idea that silence can actively reshape our brains for the better. So how do we bring more silence into our lives in practical, actionable ways, given how noisy our modern world is? It feels like we're constantly bombarded.
It's surprisingly accessible, actually, and it doesn't always require a retreat to a remote cabin, thankfully. Simple personal practices can make a huge difference. You can start by taking just a few minutes each day to sit in complete silence, without any external input like music or podcasts or TV. Even 5 minutes of intentional quiet can be powerful. Just noticing the silence.
Just 5 minutes.
Even 5 minutes can start to make a difference. Going for a walk in nature and consciously listening only to the natural sounds, birds, wind, water, is another powerful way to engage with natural silence, which seems to offer its own unique calming effect. Of course, meditating or practicing mindfulness in silence is a direct and highly effective application.
Okay, what about managing our environment?
Right. Beyond those practices, it's about curating your environment and your habits. Make a conscious effort to turn off TVs, radios, and other electronic devices when they're not actively needed. Do you really need background noise all the time? Create a quiet space in your home or office, even if it's just a specific chair or corner where you know you can go to truly relax and de-stress without interruption. Research has specifically highlighted the positive impact of mindfulness-based silent practices for stress management and psychological resilience, underscoring their effectiveness.
And this applies beyond just personal habits.
Absolutely. The applications extend beyond personal practice. In healthcare and therapy, for instance, creating designated silent spaces can have profound effects. Studies have shown that hospital patients who spent time in quiet areas reported significantly higher levels of comfort and satisfaction, indicating reduced stress and anxiety in what's often a very stressful environment.
That makes a lot of sense.
In therapy, these silent spaces offer clients a safe, reflective environment for self-discovery and processing thoughts and emotions without external pressure, fostering deeper therapeutic progress. Sometimes the most profound insights come in the silence between words. Even in the workplace, incorporating silent zones or quiet rooms is proving to be a strategic move. Companies like Google and Intel have famously adopted silent spaces.
Why? Just for naps?
Not just for naps, although maybe sometimes. They do it not just to reduce stress and anxiety, but because they found it boosts employee productivity and well-being. This isn't just about allowing quiet time. It's about increasing focus and concentration, and importantly, improving creativity by allowing employees' minds to wander productively and generate new ideas without constant interruption. So silence isn't merely an absence, it's a powerful presence that cultivates stillness, calm, and even innovation in deeply beneficial ways. 4. Integrated paths to inner peace. Real-world applications.
That's incredibly insightful. We've laid out the components of resilience and the profound impact of mindfulness and silence, both individually and on a neurological level. They're powerful tools. Now, what does all this look like when it's put into practice in the real world? How are these powerful principles being integrated into programs and interventions to help people cultivate inner peace and calm beyond just individual habits? How is it being scaled?
This is where it all comes together, seeing how these concepts are applied to create tangible benefits for diverse populations. We're seeing various successful programs building these skills, often through integrated approaches that combine many of the pillars we've discussed. Digital interventions for scale. One really promising area, especially accelerated by the post-COVID-19 era, is the use of low-cost, self-directed digital tools. Their appeal is clear. They offer incredible accessibility, adaptability, and have shown significant effectiveness for common conditions like depression and anxiety, often without requiring constant in-person support.
Making help more available.
Exactly. For example, the Common Elements Toolbox, COMET, an online intervention developed at the University of Pennsylvania, uses a modular approach. People can pick and choose what they need. It includes components like behavioral activation, which they simply call positive activities, helping participants identify and schedule activities that bring happiness or a sense of mastery, things they value. There's cognitive restructuring, framed as flexible thinking, to help individuals notice and reframe unrealistic negative thoughts and understand common thinking traps like catastrophizing or black and white thinking. We talked about that earlier.
Right, the explanatory styles.
Yes. And a gratitude module encourages appreciation for positive things in life, shifting focus away from the negative. This program boasts impressive engagement, a 72% completion rate, 93% acceptability, 88% helpfulness, and 86% of participants found it engaging. Crucially, it's designed to be applicable to daily life, even in single 10-15-minute sessions, making it incredibly practical for busy people.
Bite-sized mental health support.
Exactly. Another example is a mental health program app designed specifically for youth aged 17 and older. Its curriculum is built on 4 core elements of well-being: awareness, understanding oneself, connection, relationships, insight, understanding problems and solutions, and purpose, meaning in life. It delivers this through mini podcast audio files, simple mental exercises, practical tips for daily application, and progress assessments, making these vital socio-emotional skills highly accessible to a generation that lives on their phones.
Meeting them where they are.
Precisely. Imagine a teenager learning to manage stress or identify their strengths through an app on their commute. It's democratizing access to these skills for inner peace, education, and self-discovery.
That's a powerful point about accessibility. And beyond digital tools, how are these principles being woven into formal education, especially for young people? Are schools picking this up?
Yes, increasingly. Beyond digital tools, we see powerful integration within educational settings. Cornerstone's Youth First and Girls First programs are fantastic examples. Implemented in India, particularly in Bihar state schools for at-risk girls, and also in Rwanda, these programs have reached over 150,000 marginalized youth. It's a huge scale. Their core innovation is integrating self-discovery, helping youth uncover their unique character strengths, understand their values and emotions, and explore what they truly want in life with practical socio-emotional skills like emotion management, goal setting, problem solving, assertive communication, and conflict resolution.
So it's not just academics, it's life skills.
Exactly. They're not just teaching math and science, but the very skills for navigating life successfully and peacefully. A 2014 randomized controlled trial for the Girls First program in India showed significant improvements in mental and physical health and education outcomes. A 26% improvement in emotional resilience, 21% in social-emotional assets, and 14% in social well-being. Critically, qualitative reports indicated girls became more motivated for school, had better relationships with family and peers, and actively pushed back against societal pressures like early marriage.
Wow, so it had real-world impact on their choices.
Profound, real-world impact. It shows how cultivating inner peace and agency can translate into empowerment that extends far beyond just feeling good. It changes lives. Another elegant technique used in education is the WOPO, Wish, Outcome, Obstacle, Plan method. Heard of this one?
Ooh, P.O., tell me.
It's a simple but powerful mental contrasting exercise. Participants identify a meaningful wish, visualize the best outcome, identify the main inner obstacle that might prevent them from achieving it, like self-doubt or procrastination, and finally create an if-then plan to overcome that specific internal obstacle.
Wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. WPP, okay.
For example, if I start procrastinating on my homework obstacle, then I will set a timer for 15 minutes and just do one problem. Plan. It's been found effective with students as young as second grade and even improved PSAT preparation for 10th graders. It builds self-management skills for achieving goals.
Simple but structured.
Very. We also see the rise of positive education, which aims to proactively teach resilience, gratitude, strengths, meaning, flow, positive relationships, and positive emotion, not just as standalone topics, but integrated into the fabric of schooling. This can be done through standalone courses or by embedding these skills into academic subjects. Imagine English teachers using signature strengths to discuss character development in novels, or history teachers discussing resilience in historical figures. It also incorporates daily practices like the semicircle technique, where students and teachers gather briefly to share what went well last night, fostering a conscious focus on positive experiences and gratitude. Building positive habits, interventions for vulnerable populations.
It's truly inspiring to see these skills taught so systematically in schools. But what about those facing the most extreme challenges? How are the principles of inner peace and resilience applied to help some of the world's most vulnerable populations, like refugees or those in conflict zones?
That's a critical area, and yes, these principles are being adapted and applied there too, where stability is often profoundly disrupted. For refugees, for example, the emphasis is often on restoring a sense of self-agency and helping them make meaning of their life experience, especially when they cannot change their external, often traumatic circumstances. Research in places like Sri Lanka and Rwanda highlighted that a sense of control, even perceived control, is crucial for effective functioning after adversity. When primary control, changing the external situation, isn't possible, secondary control, accepting what cannot be changed and finding alternate ways to accomplish goals, or reframing one's perspective becomes vital for adjustment and well-being.
Finding peace amidst circumstances you can't change.
Exactly. It's about finding peace, not by escaping the past, but by integrating it into a resilient present and future. And finally, there are innovative approaches for entrepreneurs in conflict zones. Traditionally, interventions for entrepreneurs focus solely on financial support, like loans or grants. However, the World Bank's ERKF project in Pakistan back in 2012 added a psychosocial training component to traditional cash transfers. It's involved a 5-week group cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT) training using the WHO's Problem Management Plus curriculum for business owners in conflict-affected areas. The focus was on managing stress, improving problem solving, building interpersonal skills, all amidst extreme uncertainty and often trauma.
So mental health support alongside financial aid.
Yes, the results were compelling. Just 3 months post-intervention, entrepreneurs receiving both the CBT and the cash grants experienced nearly 50% lower odds of mental health problems like depression and anxiety, and reported higher well-being compared to those who received only cash. This powerfully demonstrates the incremental benefit of mental health support in fostering resilience, stability, and ultimately even business success in the toughest environments. It shows that inner peace isn't just a personal luxury. It's a powerful driver of economic stability and community rebuilding.
So what does this all mean for us, for the listener? The takeaway here seems to be that whether it's through structured programs like Core Stones, agile digital tools, simple daily practices, or tailored interventions for specific populations facing immense challenges, cultivating inner peace is fundamentally a skill, not just a fleeting state or a passive hope. It's something you can learn, practice, and strengthen within yourself regardless of your external circumstances. Outro. We've navigated the intricate landscape of emotional resilience, explored the profound effects of mindfulness on our brain and well-being, and rediscovered the simple yet powerful sanctuary of silence. It's abundantly clear that cultivating stillness and calmness within your mind is not a passive pursuit, something you simply wait for to appear. Instead, it's an active, empowering journey, a dynamic process of self-cultivation.
Indeed. I think the core lesson here is that our capacity to bounce back from adversity, to adapt to change, and to find a sense of peace within ourselves is not fixed at birth. It's not something you either have or you don't. It's a muscle, or rather a set of muscles, that can be strengthened, honed, and integrated into every aspect of our lives, from how we cope with stress at work to how we connect with others, and ultimately how we find contentment and flourishing within ourselves. Remember, these elements aren't about fixing something broken within you. They're about strengthening skills and developing leadership over your internal world. It's about empowering yourself from the inside out.
It's about building a robust inner world, one capable of not just weathering life's inevitable storms, but actually finding moments of profound peace and even, as you say, flourishing in the midst of them.
Exactly. Finding that calm within the storm.
So as you go about your day, maybe consider this. In what small, deliberate ways can you choose to introduce more mindful presence, more awareness of your inner landscape, or maybe just a tiny pocket of silence into your routine today? Do it not as an escape from the world, but as an act of powerful self-cultivation, building that resilience and peace one intentional moment at a time. What's one small step you can take? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this exploration empowers you to cultivate your own emotion of peace. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep thriving from the inside out.